After getting fired from her job as a maid at a ritzy New York City hotel just weeks before Christmas, Allie Evans, a struggling artist with big dreams and an even bigger heart, finds herself at a crossroads. Bills are piling up, her art remains unsold, and her once bright spark is beginning to dim. Just when she's ready to throw in the towel, an unexpected opportunity falls into her lap. A wealthy European family needs a temporary governess for their daughter, and they need someone immediately. Despite her initial hesitation, after all, she has no formal training with children and zero experience with royalty. Allie boards a plane and soon finds herself in a snow-covered European kingdom that looks like it was plucked from a storybook. The towering stone castle, the crisp pine-scented air, and the regal staff are all a far cry from her tiny New York apartment. But her new charge, Princess Theodora, is less than welcoming. The 10-year-old is clever, outspoken, and determined to send Allie packing like the governesses before her. Orphaned young and raised under the strict guidance of tutors and palace rules, Theodora is a child who masks her loneliness with pranks and sass. Undeterred by Theodora's mischief, Allie uses humor, honesty, and her own unconventional style to connect with the princess. She encourages her to paint, to explore, to laugh. Slowly, walls begin to come down. Meanwhile, King Maximilian, Theodora's father, a widowed ruler who carries the weight of the crown and the responsibility of raising a daughter, finds himself drawn to the lively American who doesn't tiptoe around his title. Where others offer only formality, Allie offers candor. Where others fear him, she challenges him. And for the first time in years, he finds himself smiling. As Christmas draws near and the castle is adorned with lights, garlands, and warmth, the atmosphere begins to change. Laughter echoes through its halls. Joy returns to its rooms. And in the midst of snowy nights, candlelit dinners, and quiet moments under twinkling trees, a connection forms between governess and princess, artist and king. What started as a temporary job becomes something far more magical. But as the lines between her world and theirs blur, Allie must decide if she's ready to risk her heart, and if a crown and a Christmas miracle could truly change her life forever. Allie Evans, a bright, warm-hearted young woman in her late 20s, is a talented painter who once dreamed of showing her work in art galleries across Manhattan. But reality hasn't been kind. After her parents passed away, Allie put her dreams on hold to care for her younger siblings. Now that they're grown, she's trying to find her footing in a city that never slows down, and rarely cuts anyone a break. Working as a maid at an upscale Manhattan hotel isn't glamorous, but it pays the rent, barely. Allie spends her early mornings scrubbing marble bathrooms and her late nights sketching in her tiny studio apartment, hoping one day her art will be seen by someone who matters. Her life is a whirlwind of subway rides, instant noodles, and occasional glimpses of holiday magic through frost-covered windows. But everything comes crashing down when she's abruptly fired after taking the fall for a guest's broken vase, an accident she didn't cause. With her paycheck gone and eviction looming, Allie is left with no options and even fewer prospects during the busy holiday season. That's when fate throws her a curveball. A former co-worker reaches out about an urgent, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a temporary governess position for a prestigious European family. The catch? It's in an unnamed kingdom that's so private, it's barely on the map. The pay is generous, the ticket is paid, and the job starts immediately. At first, Allie laughs it off. What does a hotel maid and part-time artist know about raising a royal child? But with her bank account nearly empty and Christmas just around the corner, she reluctantly agrees. After all, how hard can it be to keep a well-behaved little girl entertained for a few weeks in a snow-covered castle? What she doesn't know is that the castle she's flying to isn't just grand, It's enchanting, nestled in the Alps like something out of a storybook. And the child she'll care for, Princess Theodora, is anything but a royal angel. Stubborn, clever, and fiercely independent, Theodora has driven away every governess before her. As Allie boards the plane with a suitcase full of sweaters and sketchbooks, she's unaware that she's not just heading into a new job, but into the heart of a royal family, and a Christmas season that will change her life forever. After a long, winding drive through the snow-blanketed countryside, Allie's car pulls up to the gates of Windshire Castle, an imposing stone fortress nestled high in the mountains, surrounded by frozen forests and whispering winds. The castle is breathtaking, with tall turrets, glowing lanterns, and ivy-covered stone walls that seem to come alive under the falling snow. For a moment, Allie is convinced she's stepped into a fairy tale. A very cold fairy tale. She's greeted by Ms. Lansbury, the castle's stern and efficient head of staff, who offers a clipped welcome and whisks Allie inside with barely a glance. The castle is grand but austere, beautiful yet quiet, like it's forgotten how to laugh. And then comes the moment she's been warned about, meeting Princess Theodora. Theodora, 10 years old and already an expert in regal defiance, is waiting in the drawing room, arms crossed and eyes narrowed. She looks more like a mini monarch than a child, dressed in velvet, chin tilted upward, and wearing a scowl that could melt glaciers. "Are you the new one?" she asks, inspecting Allie like a museum artifact. "I guess that makes you the princess," Allie replies with a half-smile, hands still gloved and a little shaky. Theodora smirks. "You won't last the week." It's not an empty threat. Over the next few days, Allie discovers that Theodora is not just mischievous, she's practically a royal rascal. There are marbles scattered in hallways, hidden frogs in Allie's teacup, mysteriously vanishing shoes, and even a paint-splattered portrait of a frowning Ms. Lansbury hanging upside down in the music room. The castle staff whisper about the curse of the governesses, and Allie is advised, more than once, to keep her bags packed. But Allie doesn't scare so easily. She sees through the antics and recognizes something deeper, a lonely child starved for warmth and play. Instead of punishing or scolding, Allie responds with wit and patience. When Theodora glues her sketchbook shut, Allie calmly hands her a second one and asks if she'd like to draw something together. When Theodora hides in the maze for hours, Allie doesn't panic. Instead, she brings hot cocoa and waits at the exit. Gradually, Theodora's icy armor begins to thaw. Allie learns that beneath the princess's bravado is a bright, curious girl who loves riddles, paints quietly when no one is looking, and secretly collects snow globes. She also misses her mother terribly, and struggles with her father's long absences and the pressure of being constantly watched and judged. By the end of the week, Allie hasn't just lasted, she's left Theodora laughing. And for the first time in years, the castle halls echo with something long forgotten, joy. Allie first encounters King Maximilian not in a formal throne room or at a grand dinner, but quite unexpectedly, during a chaotic moment in the castle library. She's chasing after Princess Theodora, who has hidden her favorite scarf among the shelves, as a test of resourcefulness. Breathless and laughing under her breath, Allie turns a corner too quickly, and runs straight into someone. Books tumble. A teacup crashes. Allie stumbles backward and lands on the floor in a very ungoverness-like heap. "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry," she blurts out, scrambling to her feet, only to be met by a tall man in a sharply tailored suit, hair slightly tousled, an expression caught somewhere between surprise and amusement. "I suppose you must be Miss Evans," the man says with a slight British accent and a raised brow. She recognizes him immediately. The jawline, the crown emblem embroidered subtly on his lapel. It's King Maximilian himself. Right. Yes. Sorry. I mean, Your Majesty, she stammers, brushing herself off and trying to remember if she curtsied or just flailed. He chuckles softly, a sound that catches her off guard. No harm done. It's been a long time since anyone's run into me, literally. From that moment on, their interactions are laced with quiet intrigue. Maximilian is used to formality, to people tiptoeing around him, agreeing with every word he says. But Allie doesn't do that. She speaks her mind, sometimes without thinking, and it both irritates and fascinates him. When he asks why Theodora seems more engaged lately, she replies without flattery, she's a smart kid. She doesn't want someone to boss her around. She wants someone to listen. When he tries to explain the pressure of royal expectations, Allie doesn't fawn or pity him. That's a heavy crown, she says one evening during a snowlit walk through the courtyard. But maybe you don't always have to carry it alone. Their differences are undeniable. He's a monarch, raised in tradition and expectation. She's an artist from New York, grounded in creativity and improvisation. Yet, there's something magnetic between them, a shared loneliness, perhaps. A craving for sincerity in a world full of walls. Theodora notices it first. You like her, she tells her father one night, casually spooning sugar into her tea. Maximilian gives her a sidelong glance. She's a capable governess. She's not like the others. She doesn't care about titles. That's why you like her. Meanwhile, Allie wrestles with her own feelings. She knows there's something growing between them, a glance held too long, a conversation that feels too personal. But she also knows her place. She's just a guest in this world. Temporary. Still, as the castle prepares for its grand Christmas Eve ball, the air brims with unspoken hope and glittering anticipation. And no matter how cautious they try to be, the spark between Allie and Maximilian becomes harder to ignore with each passing snowfall. The days at Windshire Castle begin to fall into a rhythm, softened by snow-covered mornings and twinkling candlelight evenings. What starts as a challenging job soon becomes something more meaningful for Allie. As she and Princess Theodora spend more time together, their bond quietly deepens, shifting from wary civility to genuine trust. It begins one afternoon when Allie discovers a small, forgotten room tucked away behind the music hall, a cozy space with high windows and dust-covered easels. Curious, she returns with Theodora the next day. What is this place? Theodora asks, peeking in. I think it used to be an art room, Allie replies, brushing her fingers along the edge of a worn table. Theodora hesitates. I used to come here with my mother, before she passed. The words hang in the air, fragile as frost. I haven't been back since. Allie gently sets her satchel on the table and pulls out a sketchbook and a few watercolors. Maybe we can bring it back to life. At first, Theodora resists. She hovers near the doorway, arms crossed. But when Allie quietly begins to sketch the castle's winter garden, something shifts. Theodora walks over and peeks at the drawing, her cool expression giving way to curiosity. Can I try? She asks, almost shyly. From that moment on, the art room becomes their little sanctuary. They paint snow-draped trees, starry skies, and silly portraits of the palace staff. Theodora reveals her favorite colors, deep royal blues and emerald greens, and shows a surprising talent for blending shades. Allie teaches her about perspective and light, and in return, Theodora shares secret passages in the castle and stories about her mother, who once painted beside her in this very room. Late one afternoon, as golden light filters through the frosty windows, Theodora puts down her brush and quietly says, "Everyone thinks I'm spoiled or difficult. But I'm just lonely. People don't talk to me. They talk at me." Allie, wiping her hands on a cloth, sits beside her. "You're not difficult, Theodora. You're just trying to be heard. I think your paintings say a lot, even when you don't." Theodora smiles faintly, her eyes shining. "I wish you could stay forever." Allie's heart tugs. She knows her time at the castle is temporary, but moments like this, intimate and real, make her wish otherwise. In Theodora, she sees more than a princess. She sees a child yearning to be understood, not as royalty, but simply as a girl. In turn, Theodora begins to blossom. She's more attentive during lessons, more playful during meals, and even starts engaging with the castle staff with warmth. Word spreads among the palace halls. The princess is changing, and it's all thanks to the American governess with paint on her sleeves and kindness in her eyes. Unbeknownst to them, King Maximilian often finds himself pausing at the doorway of the old art room, watching through the glass as his daughter laughs, freely, joyfully, for the first time in years. And every time he sees Allie by her side, something in his heart begins to thaw. As December settles in like a soft blanket over the castle grounds, the air fills with a new kind of energy, bustling, merry, and laced with cinnamon and pine. Windshire Castle, with its ancient stone walls and towering turrets, begins to transform into a winter wonderland. Allie, initially just an observer, is quickly swept into the holiday spirit. It begins with a simple question from Theodora: "Will you help me decorate the East Wing tree?" Father never lets the staff do it properly. What starts as a quiet decorating session turns into a full-fledged operation. Allie, with her artist's eye and creative flair, breathes new life into the castle's traditional holiday decor. She paints handmade ornaments with Theodora, strings garlands from the tall wooden banisters, and even helps hang wreaths across the towering arched doors of the Great Hall. Soon, even the palace staff are joining in, following her lead with cheerful enthusiasm. The grand hall is filled with the hum of Christmas carols, laughter, and the soft glow of twinkle lights reflecting off the polished marble floors. It's been years since the castle has felt this alive. Allie is surprised when King Maximilian himself stops by during one of the decorating afternoons. He's dressed more casually than usual, his coat dusted with snow, and he watches from a distance as Theodora proudly shows off their hand-painted ornaments. "Miss Evans," he says, approaching with a slight smile. "You've managed to do something remarkable." She turns, slightly flustered. "I hope it's not too untraditional." He glances at the twinkling forest of paper snowflakes and garlands of dried oranges and cinnamon sticks. "Untraditional, perhaps. But the castle hasn't felt this warm in a long time." There's a pause, a quiet moment where their eyes meet, and the unspoken energy between them lingers in the air like mistletoe. Later, Allie is asked to help coordinate the holiday market and tree lighting ceremony in the village square. She's hesitant at first, unsure of her role, but Maximilian insists. "You have a gift for bringing people together," he says gently. "And I think this kingdom could use more of that." Allie throws herself into the task, sketching layouts, organizing vendors, and even suggesting a children's art corner, which Theodora excitedly volunteers to host. Townspeople begin arriving days early just to see the castle's courtyard lights and sample the pastries Theodora had a hand in baking. With every garland strung and every lantern lit, the castle feels more like home. And Allie, for the first time in a long while, feels like she belongs, like she's not just a guest, but part of something bigger. The crowning moment comes on Christmas Eve, as Allie, bundled in a deep green cloak, stands beside Theodora in the square. Snow begins to fall softly as King Maximilian steps forward to light the grand tree at the center of the village. The crowd erupts in cheers and music, and for a moment, everything feels perfect. Maximilian looks over at Allie, his expression unreadable but tender. "This kingdom needed light this Christmas," he says quietly. "And so did I." Allie smiles, her cheeks flushed not just from the cold, but from something warmer, something like hope. As the days lead up to Christmas, King Maximilian and Allie find themselves crossing paths more often, some planned, some purely coincidental. A shared love for classical music leads to an impromptu moment in the music room, where Allie plays a few notes on the grand piano, not realizing the king is listening from the doorway. "You play beautifully," Maximilian says softly. Allie looks up, startled. "I haven't played in years." He smiles. "You haven't forgotten." Moments like that begin to weave their way into their daily lives. They walk together through the snowy castle gardens, discussing art, music, and, more cautiously, their very different worlds. Allie is refreshingly honest, unafraid to speak her mind. Maximilian, usually stoic and composed, finds himself laughing more freely around her. One evening, after a long day organizing the final touches for the Christmas ball, Allie finds herself alone with Maximilian in the castle's candlelit library. Snow taps gently at the stained glass windows. They sit by the fire, sipping warm cider, and talking about everything, and nothing. "I never expected to find so much peace in this place," Allie admits. "Especially after the chaos of New York." Maximilian gazes at her for a long moment. "And I never expected someone like you to bring it here." Their eyes meet. The silence between them is charged, gentle but potent. But just as their hands brush, Allie pulls away, her expression uncertain. "We shouldn't," she says quietly. "I know," Maximilian replies, though the regret in his voice betrays him. They both understand the reality. He's a king, bound by tradition and the scrutiny of his people. She's an American commoner, a temporary governess with no claim to royalty or the life he leads. Rumors are already beginning to swirl, among the staff, among the villagers. Even Theodora, intuitive beyond her years, has started to notice the lingering glances and quiet moments. And yet, the pull between them only grows stronger. Allie finds herself lying awake at night, wondering what her place in all of this truly is. She reminds herself that she's only here until Christmas. But each laugh, each shared glance, makes it harder to imagine leaving. Meanwhile, Maximilian begins to feel the weight of his position more acutely than ever. His advisors have started to notice his distracted demeanor. One, in particular, Lady Celeste, a sharp and traditional member of the Royal Council, pulls him aside during a strategy meeting. "Your Majesty," she says, not unkindly, "the people are watching. The future queen must be someone who fits the crown. You must think carefully before following your heart." Her words linger long after the meeting ends. Later that evening, Maximilian sees Allie laughing with Theodora in the castle corridor, her face lit up, paint on her hands, her hair falling loose from the cold wind, and something inside him aches. He knows what's expected. But for the first time in years, he begins to ask himself what he wants. And in that question lies a storm of possibilities, both terrifying and beautiful. As Allie's days in the castle stretch on, her growing closeness to both Princess Theodora and King Maximilian does not go unnoticed. Whispers begin to stir in the candlelit halls and behind the gloved hands of courtiers in silk and brocade. At first, the gossip is subtle, pointed glances during meals, quiet murmurs when she passes. But soon, it becomes more overt. "She's just a governess," Allie hears one lady-in-waiting say during a stroll through the courtyard. It's inappropriate. Theodora is becoming far too attached. She doesn't even know how to curtsy properly, another chuckles, not knowing Allie is within earshot. The sting of their words lingers long after she walks away. Allie begins to feel the isolation creep in. The festive warmth that had enveloped her at the beginning of the holiday season starts to feel colder, more distant. The castle, once magical and full of promise, becomes a maze of etiquette and invisible boundaries. Even some members of the staff grow cautious around her. Her inclusion in royal events, once seen as charming and whimsical, is now raising eyebrows. It all comes to a head when Lady Celeste, a high-ranking court advisor and staunch traditionalist, requests a private audience with Allie in the conservatory. Lady Celeste's tone is polite but edged with steel. "Miss Evans, I don't doubt your talents or your heart. You've clearly made an impression on everyone. But this is a royal household. Your influence over the princess is beginning to be a topic of concern, and your relationship with the king, whether intentional or not, is distracting from his duties." Allie sits still, absorbing the words like a cold slap. She tries to muster a defense but finds her voice trembling. "I never meant to. You seem like a good person," Lady Celeste interrupts gently but firmly. "But good intentions don't always make someone fit for the crown." Later that night, Allie stares out at the snowy grounds from her window, clutching a steaming cup of tea that's long since gone cold. Her reflection in the glass looks foreign, dressed in a borrowed velvet gown, surrounded by luxury she never asked for. She thinks of New York, of her tiny apartment, her easel by the window, her life of uncertainty, but also of freedom. She wonders if she's a fool to think she could ever belong in a place like this. Theodora senses something is off and gently asks, "Are you leaving?" Allie offers a small, sad smile. "I don't know." "Please don't," the princess says quietly. "You're the only one who ever listens." Allie hugs her, holding back tears. That night, she writes a letter to her sister back home, pouring out her feelings, her confusion, her affection for Theodora, her growing love for the king, and her overwhelming fear that this fairy tale wasn't meant for someone like her. But as the castle prepares for the Christmas Eve ball, a night where all eyes will be on the royal family, and, inevitably, on Allie, she knows she has to make a decision, to fade back into the shadows of her old life. Or to walk into that ballroom and face the truth of her heart, no matter the cost. As snow gently falls across the palace grounds and the castle glows with festive lights, Maximilian begins showing his affection for Allie not through grand declarations, but through small, deeply meaningful gestures. One crisp afternoon, he finds her in the stable sketching a pair of white horses in the soft winter light. Instead of interrupting, he quietly leaves a steaming cup of spiced cocoa beside her sketch pad and walks away, smiling to himself. Allie notices it a moment later and turns to see him disappearing into the corridor. No words, just a quiet kindness that stays with her all day. Later that week, Maximilian invites her to walk with him through the South Gardens, where evergreen arches are adorned with twinkling lights and handmade garlands from the village children. Snow dusts the topiaries, and the air smells like pine and cinnamon. The guards trail discreetly behind, but Maximilian and Allie are lost in their own world. "You know," he says, brushing snow off a stone bench for her to sit, "I used to come here as a boy when things felt too heavy, too formal." Funny, Allie replies, I came to places like this in Central Park when I couldn't afford heat in my apartment. He laughs, genuinely, warmly. You always manage to surprise me. Their conversation deepens as the walk continues. Maximilian begins to open up, something he rarely does, even with his advisors. He tells Allie of his childhood fascination with carpentry, of building birdhouses in secret because it wasn't proper for a young royal. I still have one hidden in the storage wing, he admits with a sheepish smile. That's adorable, Allie teases, nudging his shoulder. You? A secret carpenter? He chuckles. I'd rather be remembered as a man who built something real than one who only wore a crown. Their eyes meet, and the playful mood turns tender. There's a pause, long enough to say everything without saying a word. But once again, they both pull back, not quite ready to cross the line they know is dangerous. Still, the little moments keep piling up. A hand lightly touching hers when they pass in the hall. A smile that lingers too long during breakfast. A shared laugh during a snowball fight with Theodora that ends in Maximilian gently brushing snow out of Allie's hair. During one late night near the roaring fireplace in the castle's library, Maximilian confides in her again. Do you ever wonder, he asks softly, what it would be like to live without all this? Without duty, titles, expectations? Allie nods. All the time. He leans in slightly. And what would you do? She glances at him, heart racing. I'd paint. I'd teach. I'd love without worrying who's watching. Maximilian doesn't respond, but the look in his eyes speaks volumes. For a moment, the rest of the world disappears. Only the crackle of the fire and the unspoken tension between them remain. And even though they haven't yet kissed, it feels like they've said everything that matters. Outside, the castle glows like something out of a storybook. Inside, two hearts that never expected to find each other are slowly beginning to believe in the impossible. As the days pass, Princess Theodora watches her father and Allie more closely, smiling to herself when she catches them laughing together during a snowball fight, or sees the way her father's gaze lingers on Allie when she walks into a room. For the first time in a long time, Theodora sees her father happy, lighter. It doesn't take long for the quick-witted young princess to start scheming. One chilly afternoon in the castle library, Theodora corners Allie behind a stack of dusty books. So, she says, arms crossed, eyes twinkling with mischief, do you like my father, or do you like him? Allie nearly drops the book she's holding. What? Theodora. That's not something you ask, I'm a princess. I can ask whatever I want, she replies matter-of-factly. Allie tries to dodge the question, but Theodora isn't fooled. She grins. He likes you too. He smiles now. And he used to be so boring. Allie can't help but laugh. He's still a king. And I'm just, nope. Theodora shakes her head. You're not just anything. You're the first person who ever listened to me. Who ever made this place feel like a home. I think we need more of you around here. From that moment on, Theodora becomes an unexpected, and slightly chaotic, ally. She starts accidentally arranging for Allie and Maximilian to end up alone, asking Allie to help her in the stables just as the king happens to be inspecting the royal horses, or conveniently forgetting her royal tutor schedule so Allie and Maximilian have to deal with it together. In one particularly amusing instance, Theodora insists on baking cookies for a palace luncheon. Flour ends up everywhere, in the chandeliers, on a very dignified duke's coat, and even in Maximilian's hair. But the laughter that fills the kitchen is unlike anything the staff can remember. And when the castle chef storms out in frustration, Maximilian rolls up his sleeves and joins them, helping decorate sugar cookies shaped like snowflakes and stars. "You know," he says, glancing over at Allie with frosting on his nose, "I haven't laughed this hard in years." "Me neither," she says softly. But it's not all just fun and games. Theodora also opens up to Allie more than ever, sharing her fears about someday becoming queen, about missing her mother, and about the weight of always being watched. In return, Allie helps her express herself through art, encouraging her to paint her feelings onto canvas, and reminding her that it's okay to be imperfect, even if you're a princess. Together, they navigate the delicate dance of royal life, with Theodora providing insider knowledge on palace politics, and Allie offering the kind of grounded wisdom Theodora never knew she needed. And in between the chaos and comedy of Tea Party rebellions, missing royal slippers, and an incident involving a corgi and a stolen crown ornament, something unshakable forms between the three of them, a family. An unexpected, messy, beautiful little family. The Christmas Eve ball at the castle is a dazzling affair, one of the grandest events of the season, where the entire kingdom gathers to celebrate the holiday in royal splendor. Theodora wears a dress of shimmering silver, her hair adorned with twinkling crystal stars, while the guests don elegant gowns and military uniforms. The great hall is filled with laughter, music, and the soft clink of champagne flutes, the air heavy with the scent of pine and cloves. As Allie steps into the ballroom, her breath catches. The grand chandeliers overhead cast a warm glow over the room, their light bouncing off the walls draped in lush velvet. A golden tree, taller than she ever thought a tree could be, stretches toward the ceiling, covered in golden ornaments and flickering candles. She feels out of place, even though the beauty around her is breathtaking. She's just the governess. The outsider. The artist from New York who stumbled into this world of kings and queens, castles and courtiers. But then, she looks to Maximilian, who stands across the room, talking with dignitaries, his dark suit and regal bearing enough to remind anyone of his place as king. Yet when his eyes meet hers across the crowded ballroom, everything else fades away. The world seems to still as their gazes lock, and he excuses himself from the conversation with an effortless smile, his presence commanding yet warm. His eyes soften as he approaches her, cutting through the sea of guests like he's drawn only to her. Maximilian reaches her side, his hand hovering near hers. "May I have this dance?" Allie hesitates for only a heartbeat before taking his hand. The crowd parts around them, and they move to the center of the ballroom, the music swelling around them. It feels like a dream, the way the lights sparkle, the way the snow falls outside the windows, the way his touch feels like home. As they dance, they speak little, but everything is said in the way they move together. It's a dance of trust, of connection. The distance between them disappears, and for the first time, Allie allows herself to truly let go of the doubts that have plagued her heart. The music slows, and Maximilian pulls her closer. The warmth of his breath on her skin sends a shiver down her spine. He looks down at her, his voice low, filled with emotion. "Allie, you've brought something back into my life I never thought I'd find again." Her heart stutters in her chest. She knows what he's saying without needing the words, but she's still not sure if she's brave enough to admit it. "You've given me joy," he continues, his hand gently caressing her back as they sway in time with the music. "You've made this castle feel like home again. You've reminded me of what it means to truly live. And I can't imagine a future without you in it." Tears well up in Allie's eyes as she looks up at him, a mixture of awe and disbelief in her expression. Maximilian, Before she can finish, he places a finger gently on her lips. Please, he whispers. I've spent too long hiding behind my crown, pretending it's all that matters. But the truth is, it's you who makes my life complete. I love you, Allie. I love you for who you are, your heart, your spirit, the way you make this world a brighter place. I'm asking you, will you stay? Will you be with me? Allie feels her chest tighten with emotion, her mind racing with doubt and fear. Could she really belong in this life? The press, the expectations, the pressure to be perfect in a world that demands perfection. Could she give up her dreams of painting and freedom for this life of royal duty? But then she looks into his eyes, into the man who has shown her kindness, warmth, and a love she never expected, and all her fears melt away. This isn't just about the castle, or the crown, or the life she's never known. It's about the bond they've formed, the way he sees her, not as a governess but as a partner. The way she's seen him, not as a king, but as a man with a heart as vast as the world. With a smile, she takes his hand, pulling him closer. I love you too, Maximilian. And yes, I'll stay. I'll stand by your side, through everything. The room erupts in applause as the crowd watches them, moved by the genuine love between them. Theodora is beaming from the sidelines, her eyes filled with joy for the two of them. The kingdom's future is uncertain, but in that moment, it doesn't matter. The two of them, Allie and Maximilian, have chosen each other, and that is enough. Maximilian leans down, kissing her softly, a promise in his touch. The crowd cheers once more, but Allie and Maximilian are lost in each other, knowing that this Christmas, they found something far more precious than a royal title, love. The grand ball carries on, but for Allie and Maximilian, the world has shifted. They steal moments throughout the evening, dancing, laughing, and stealing glances that speak louder than words. The holiday magic lingers in the air, but what matters most is the love they've found in each other. As the clock strikes midnight, Maximilian leads Allie out onto the palace balcony. The snow is falling in delicate flakes, the kingdom below glowing under a blanket of winter white. He wraps his arms around her, holding her close. We'll make this work, he promises softly. Together. And as they stand there, under the starry sky and the twinkling lights of Christmas, Allie knows that she has found her place, not as a governess, not as an outsider, but as the woman who will stand by Maximilian's side, facing whatever the future brings. As the Christmas Eve ball comes to a close, the music begins to soften, and the last guests bid their farewells, but the magic of the night lingers in the air. Allie and Maximilian stand together by the grand Christmas tree, the lights twinkling like stars in the night sky. It's just the two of them now, amidst the quiet of the castle, surrounded by the faint scent of pine and the soft glow of candles. Maximilian pulls her closer, his hand gently brushing a stray strand of hair behind her ear. He gazes down at her with a softness that only a heart in love can hold. I still can't believe you're here, he says, his voice low with emotion. That you're with me. Allie smiles, her heart full. She's not just with him, she's found a place in his life, in this world, and most importantly, in his heart. I never imagined this either, she admits, her voice a whisper as she looks up at him. But now that I'm here, it feels like I've found a home I didn't know I was looking for. The Christmas tree sparkles behind them, its golden ornaments glowing like little pieces of their shared journey. The room is quiet, save for the crackling of the fire in the hearth and the soft patter of snow against the windows. Allie feels the weight of everything that has led to this moment, the doubts, the fears, the uncertainty. But now, they've been replaced with a deep, unshakable certainty. She belongs here. She belongs with him. Maximilian lowers his head, his lips brushing hers in a tender kiss. It's not a kiss of grand declarations or public spectacles. It's a quiet promise of a future they'll build together, side by side. Pulling back slightly, he whispers, "This is just the beginning, Allie. Our journey together. It'll be filled with challenges, yes, but it will also be filled with love, with laughter, and with moments just like this one." She nods, a tear slipping down her cheek. "I'm ready for all of it, Maximilian. As long as it's with you." The snow continues to fall outside, blanketing the kingdom in a pristine, peaceful silence. Inside the castle, the first few notes of a lullaby play softly from a distant room. It's as if the world itself is breathing in sync with their shared promise. Allie looks up at him, a sense of wonder in her heart. She never thought that a change in her life would lead to such a profound transformation. From the moment she walked into the castle, unsure and uncertain, to this moment, standing here with the man she loves. Surrounded by new friends and a family she never expected. The royal court, once distant and intimidating, has become a place of warmth and belonging, where laughter fills the halls and friendships bloom. Theodora approaches, her face lit with joy, and with a mischievous grin, she tugs on Allie's sleeve. "You two are so sappy," she teases, though her eyes shine with genuine happiness. "You're going to make me cry." Allie laughs, wiping away a tear, and looks to Theodora. "It's all your fault, you know. You played matchmaker." Theodora winks. "I know. But I'm glad I did." Maximilian chuckles, pulling Allie in closer. "You've certainly made us both happy, Your Highness." And for the first time, Theodora, once a rebellious princess, looks content, a true smile lighting up her face. She leans into them both, offering a hug to Allie. "I'm happy for you, Allie. I'm really, really happy." The moment feels perfect, like everything in the world has fallen into place, just as it was meant to. Allie, Maximilian, Theodora. The royal family is no longer just an institution, it's a family, a bond that feels as strong as the winter night surrounding them. As they stand together, hands entwined, the kingdom outside begins to celebrate. The bells chime, announcing the arrival of Christmas morning. The fireworks explode in the sky, their colors filling the night with brilliance, mirroring the brightness in Allie's heart. Maximilian kisses her forehead tenderly and whispers, "This Christmas, I've found the most precious gift of all." Allie smiles, gazing into his eyes, realizing that she too has found more than just love. She's found a new family, one that embraces her for who she is. And together, they'll face whatever comes, their love a beacon that will light their way. The Christmas season in the kingdom is filled with joy, and the royal family, Maximilian, Allie, and Theodora, becomes a symbol of unity and warmth to the people. Allie settles into her new life by Maximilian's side, no longer just an outsider but a beloved part of the royal court. Her art flourishes, and she uses her talent to bring beauty to the kingdom, just as she brought love into Maximilian's life. And as the snow continues to fall, they build their future together, knowing that no matter the challenges ahead, they will always have each other, through every season, every moment, and every Christmas to come. The day of Allie and Maximilian's wedding dawns bright and crisp, with the first snowflakes of the season dancing gently in the air. The castle is decorated with ivy, holly, and twinkling lights, a perfect reflection of the warmth that now fills the royal halls. Outside, the world is a picture of winter's quiet beauty, the snow blanketing the grounds as the whole kingdom prepares for the momentous occasion. Theodora, radiant as ever in her role as maid of honor, stands by Allie's side, her eyes shining with excitement. "You look beautiful," she says with a grin, her words full of affection for the woman who has become not just a governess but a second mother, a mentor, and a true friend. Allie smiles, her heart full as she looks at her reflection in the mirror. Her gown is simple but elegant, with intricate lace and a hint of sparkle that catches the light just right. But it's not just the dress that makes her glow. It's the love she feels for Maximilian, a love that has transformed her life in ways she never could have imagined. Outside the chapel, the people of the kingdom gather, eagerly awaiting the arrival of their beloved king and his bride. The royal court buzzes with excitement as dignitaries, lords, ladies, and commoners alike come together to celebrate the union of the king and the woman who has captured his heart. Maximilian waits at the altar, his eyes fixed on the doors. He is every bit the king, graceful and regal, but as he watches the doors open, his expression softens, his heart overflowing with love for the woman who has brought so much joy into his life. As Allie steps into the room, Theodora by her side, the entire chapel falls silent, their gazes turned toward her. The light from the stained glass windows casts a warm glow around her, making it feel as though the very heavens are shining down on them. Maximilian's breath catches as he sees her, and for a moment, it feels as though time stands still. She's more beautiful than he could have ever imagined, her eyes full of love and hope for the future. The ceremony is a blend of tradition and warmth, filled with promises of love, respect, and partnership. The vows they exchange are heartfelt, their words a declaration of their commitment not just to each other, but to the life they will build together. In his eyes, Allie sees the promise of a future, one filled with shared dreams, laughter, and challenges they will face side by side. As they exchange rings, Maximilian takes Allie's hand in his and, with a joyful smile, declares, "With you, Allie, I have found more than I ever imagined. You are my heart, my home, my future." Allie, tears brimming in her eyes, replies, "And with you, Maximilian, I've found a love that I never thought possible, a family, and a life I never dreamed I could have. I promise to cherish and love you always." The crowd erupts in applause as they share their first kiss as husband and wife, the world outside the castle echoing with the joy of their union. Later, during the reception, a grand feast is held in the castle's ballroom, the festivities continuing late into the night. Music fills the air, and the kingdom celebrates not just the marriage of their king but the promise of a bright future for their kingdom, one that will be shaped by the love of their ruler and his beloved wife. Theodora stands by Allie's side as the newlyweds share their first dance. She leans in and whispers, "I can't believe this is happening. You're really the queen now." Allie laughs softly, her eyes still brimming with joy. "I'm not sure I'll ever get used to it," she admits. "But as long as I have Maximilian by my side, I'll figure it out." Maximilian, ever the protective and loving husband, pulls Allie closer, his hand resting on her waist. As they dance, the soft glow of the Christmas lights around them creates a magical atmosphere, the snow continuing to fall outside, blanketing the kingdom in peace and beauty. "Together, we'll make a wonderful life," Maximilian says, his voice full of promise. Allie nods, her heart full. "And I'll never stop painting our future." In the weeks that follow, Allie settles into her new life as queen of the kingdom, but she never loses sight of her passion for art. She takes up her brushes once again, capturing scenes of the kingdom's beauty, the rolling hills covered in snow, the bustling market squares, and the grand halls of the castle. Her paintings, each one a masterpiece, are displayed throughout the kingdom, bringing a touch of artistry and warmth to every corner. Maximilian supports her at every turn, often sitting beside her while she paints, offering encouragement and sharing his dreams for the future. The royal court, once skeptical of her, now admires her not just as their queen but as a woman who has brought creativity, warmth, and a sense of joy into the kingdom. Theodora, now a young woman of grace and independence, continues to thrive, her own rebellious spirit tempered by the love and guidance Allie has shown her. On a snowy afternoon, the royal family stands together on the steps of the castle, watching the snowflakes fall. Allie looks at Maximilian, her husband, her partner, and knows that this is just the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter filled with love, family, and the fulfillment of her artistic dreams. As the snow continues to fall, covering the kingdom in a blanket of peace, Allie smiles, knowing that her dreams have come true, and that she has found a love as timeless as the season itself.
The Stories book is a captivating collection of tales that traverse diverse genres and emotions, spanning the realms of fantasy, science fiction, romance, and mystery. Each narrative is a journey into the unexpected, weaving intricate plots and compelling characters. With a skillful blend of vivid imagery and thought-provoking themes, this anthology invites readers to explore the depths of imagination and discover the universal threads that connect us all. From heartwarming moments to spine. We hope you enjoyed these captivating video stories. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming content like this. Thanks for watching and keep spreading the video story.